This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Jubilee. Warlord, we're going to cover, I've got all kinds of stories about your dear queen tonight. Not all of them are mocking her, I promise you. Not all of them. We are going to cover the Jubilee that happened over in Britain. That's why Warlord is so ecstatic here tonight. Been getting his Jubilee on. Sent me a pretty funny meme. Not all mocking, that's an improvement, exactly. Well, I keep having arguments on Twitter about whether Prince Pedo is a pedophile or not, which, spoiler alert, he is. We got all kinds of fun shit to talk about tonight. I'm going to play a clip of Walsh. I was on with Echoplex Media until like 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. RB, welcome. You know, I'm not high enough for this shit, and I don't mind if I do. Oh yeah, I broke the bong out for tonight. So, I was on with Echoplex Media until like 4:30, 5 o'clock. Producer Dave also got me kind of Steve last night. So I drank some alcohol. And after I got off with Echoplex, you know, like my adrenaline is pumping when I get done doing streams and shit. Like I'm a performer. I'm really into this shit. So I can't go to bed for a while. And plus, I was really drunk, so I made some food, had some taco salad at 5 o'clock in the morning. Probably not a good thing. So then, as I'm actually laying down to go to bed, by the time I get to like 8:30 or something like that, well, Warlord, Echoplex Media is like a couple of time zones ahead of me, so it's not actually so late at night for them. When they're doing their usual stream, it's late at night for me. Like how it's late at night for you right now, and it's still sunshine here for me. So as I'm laying down to go to bed, I think I'm like doing my good night routine and like turning my phone off. My pot dealer messaged me and say, "Hey, I'm gonna bring you a free sample buy. I'm gonna be there in an hour." And I'm like, "Fuck." So I ended up getting up and like staying up another 3 or 4 hours. So I haven't been out of bed all that long this afternoon. I'm still drinking coffee, but I did have a hamburger a few minutes ago. So I have eaten. Here is your Meme for the day. Sorry I didn't use yours, Warlord. Thought it was like, police help during a school shooting. Not everybody would get it. I stole that. That's not my original joke. Left-wing group too disorganized for FBI agents to infiltrate. There's an Onion headline. It is painfully true. Painfully true. I'm still not high enough for this shit. What else are we talking about? I don't even have my notes up. I've got fun shit. Oh, this isn't fun, but as long as we're talking about the cops. Were we talking about the cops? I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, I made a joke about it. Police in, I don't know where this took place. I'm sorry. Police refused to help a drowning man. I've actually got the body cam video of the cops refusing to help a drowning man. Because the cops aren't there to protect you. They're not there to protect you. They're not there to protect you. Oh, shit. Find out who this is. Propot Kinetic. What is up? I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but thank you for being a freaking follower. I have a new t-shirt design. I'm going to unveil a new t-shirt design for the Freak store. I think you guys are going to like it. And some of the proceeds are going to go to a charity. It's also going with, it's what we're going to, Sky Comment, thank you for the resub. It's going to go with one of our major stories here tonight, which is, it's just another day in mass shooting USA. Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed your video. Thank you for being a freaking follower. We're glad to have you here. I'm not high enough for this shit. I'm Justin Freakin and I cover the news. Right now I'm kind of like, this is my opening segment. I just came on. We're running down what we're going to talk about tonight. I did news on the radio for like fucking 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. I don't even remember now. It was so long ago. Been published in 4 different newspapers. And now I do this for you guys. Cover the news. We're going to talk about the Jubilee in Britain. We're going to go over the results of the Ontario election. Because that Ford family, they're wild. Oh, we're going to talk about Peter Navarro's arrest, which when I was telling Sparkles about it on Friday, she thought I was talking about Dave Navarro. I'm like, I'm just giving enough time and Dave Navarro is probably going to get arrested. No, Peter Navarro, a former top economic advisor to former President Trump, who was instrumental in trying to orchestrate the coup on January 6th, promoting the Stop the Steal big lie. If any of you actually watched the Freak Show on Friday night, was it entertaining? Was that okay? I don't know what happened. I don't remember anything about it. Clip that I watched that I put on YouTube wasn't my best work. I'll tell you that. He came in like double-fisted with fucking bottles of wine. We're going to hear from Adam Schiff. See, the January 6th committee hearings are going to start this week. We might go live with them during the day. Also, big news. As I said, I was on Echoplex Media for hours last night. Everything just came together. Apparently, producer Dave and I are going to be doing a show hosted by me, produced by producer Dave, simulcasted on both our channels. It's going to be on Tuesday, Thursday. I think it's going to happen around 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, something like that. I don't remember what the premise was. We had a premise for it, and I think we even had a name for it. But as I said, I was a little drunk last night, and all this just came together. So you're getting a brand new stream With producer Dave producing, me, like, I'm going to be, you know, the main host. Producer Dave will be by my side, chiming in wherever appropriate. So look forward to that. It could happen like next week, or it could happen like 6 months from now. That was Dave's exact phrase, so that's what you get. Oh shit. What else do I have over here to talk about? Shooting. Oh, sorry. A lot of fucking shootings. Shootings, January 6th, and then we're gonna get down with the Jubilee. But first off tonight, I'm actually going to show you a YouTube comment that I would like to respond to. I can find it. Here we go. Try to get her name out of it. Well, because I believe she's using her real name. I apologize. I'm not trying to dox you or anything. You comment pretty much the same. Now, this was under my making fun of Jeremy's Razors, the Daily Wire's razor brand that they came out with to try to cancel culture Harry's Razors for some reason. I'd never heard of Harry's Razors until the Daily Wire started buying all kinds of fucking advertisement and showing me their stupid ass Jeremy's Razors. So this is the video I made mocking it, because let me tell you, the transphobes have been out hot and heavy this week since the Matt Walsh What Is a Woman documentary came out. I have been asked that question so many times by idiots, I'm tired of explaining it. But this was on the Jeremy's Razors video. You comment pretty much the same thing to every single person, and yeah, calling people sheep seems like a great way to sway minds to your stance. And like, that doesn't sound like me. I don't know that I was calling people sheep. I kind of scrolled through and like I did see that like I'd been like, and you people call others sheep or something like that. So everyone knows my catchphrase is right-wingers are morons. And I don't know why people think like that's always the critique of me. Well, that's a great way to try to sway minds. Who says I'm trying to sway your mind? Maybe I'm not trying to appeal to you. They continue. All the things you are saying about conservatives could be thrown right back at you and your beliefs and reasoning. No, they can't. In short, your arguments are weak at best. No, I will tell you what was a weak argument was that. To make that assertion and give no supporting evidence, that was a weak argument. I'm sorry, Alice. And before you assume, no, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat or whatever BS political party that's available. Of course, you're one of those enlightened centrists. We're going to hear from one of those when we watch this Walsh video. I am simply a natural-born U.S. citizen concerned with the absolute idiocracy and disarray that is running our country into the ground. Me as well. So why can't we find common ground and take out the oligarchy, the corporations that have bought and dismantled our government? And sorry to have to be the one to tell you this, but the way you approach these hot topics, quote-unquote, the Jeremy's Razor video. By the way, yeah, this is a substantive video where I'm just mocking the absurdity of the Jeremy's Razors commercial. But the way you approach these hot topics seem to be a part of the problem that only exacerbate the issue. It seems like you're the one who lacks self-awareness. Once again, no supporting evidence. With that being said, I sincerely wish you nothing but the best and success in your life. But going around insulting people because they believe something different or have a different perspective is no way to go through life trying to achieve something. It's not helpful to you or your cause or anyone else for that matter. I hope you understand that this is coming from a place of solicitude. Well, Alice, I hope you understand that this is coming from a place of go fuckitude. If you're not going to the Daily Wire, who regularly calls, and their fans regularly call people like me groomers for supporting the LGBTQ community, being a part of the LGBTQ community, if you're not going over to the Daily Wire and leveling this critique at them, especially them, I'm just mocking a fucking idiotic commercial. And you're not going over and leveling that critique at the people that are calling us groomers. Groomers. I've been called a groomer today on Twitter. Then, like, I think you lack self-awareness. It's always this appeal to respectability politics, which might I add, always favors the status quo. This try to be wannabe play centrist always ends up benefiting the right-wing Republican Party and the corporate interests in this country. So I ain't playing nice with these fucks. The people that wanted to do an insurrection on January 6th, 2021. I'm not playing nice with those fucks. They are morons. I am going to call them out, and they are fascistic. And that's one of the things I want to get into is Walsh had a centrist on it. Apparently, they are a trans woman. He posted this a day or two ago, and I just happened to be looking for something to kill time while I was waiting on my pot dealer this morning. And well, we disagree on pretty much everything. Debating a centrist trans woman was the title, and I'm like, I've never actually watched Walsh. I'm interested, and I watched about an hour of this. An hour is all I could take, and I would like to show you the moment that I'm like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. Like, this centrist trans woman is very young. She's 22, and the naivete comes through. And there's one of the reasons why I waited so long to do something like this is because at 22 I was a dumb fuck and didn't know jack about shit to where I could talk it. And like at 22 I was the news director of 9 radio stations. I was perfectly equipped to read police press releases and reword shit from the AP and go out and interview fucking people at these nonprofits and put together these feel-good stories and shit. That's what I did. But I was not anywhere near educated enough to get on here and like debate these topics on these deep issues that are far more complex than she obviously knows. And I want to play you the moment that I just like, wow, I can't believe she just said that, and I feel sorry for her. It's about 3 or 4 minutes from here, but I wanted to get enough of the setup.
The fact that January 6th, as awful as it was, the fact that nothing did happen from it is just proof that our democracy is great, and that it's able to prevent these coups from happening.
Ooh,
the United States democracy.
That's a bad attitude to have.
That school shootings account for such a small percent of gun deaths that it's not worth mentioning. Yeah, when you talk about the political violence being done by conservatives, that's also a very small percentage of violence or political violence in general being done. So yeah, you seem like that's a major thing to focus on, like this inevitable disastrous. The statistics. I mean, how many people in the United States have died from conservative violence? Obviously, there's some, and every time it's a tragedy. And I hope the people that do that are locked in prison because it's just disgusting. But I don't think it's this.
435 total deaths, and 76% of them came from right-wing extremism.
People those directions. We can have that discussion, but I don't, think that there's going to be like, any crazy like mass violence against any groups, or that this is a serious threat that needs serious action.
Everyone says it can't happen here till it happens here, right? I mean, you say that because January 6th didn't lead to the overthrow of the government, that's a sign of America's strength, but the beer hall putsch in Germany also did not lead to the overthrow of the Weimar Republic. The difference there being, of course, that Hitler was thrown in jail after the beer hall putsch, and no Republican official.
He keeps coming back to Nazi Germany, and I understand the comparison and everything, but it's probably not the best strategy because,
pretty darn well for the future right now.
She keeps like, it's not like Nazi Germany.
My argument here isn't based on like conservative crime statistics. We have a party, the second largest party in the country, who is pretty openly anti-democracy, and if they attain power, I think there's fair reason to believe that they would use it to subvert our democracy. And in such a time of civil unrest, I think it's good that people be armed. You would agree that Republicans are anti-democracy, right? That there's no other way to reconcile their behavior, the support of the insurrection, the persistent months and years-long lying about the results of the 2020 election, the fact that Donald Trump continues to like essentially prompt and threaten civil war in speeches and in like social media behavior.
And it's not just Trump.
That nothing but a violent insurrection can oust the Democrats.
The thing that worries me the most is, the Shasta County Board of Supervisors that's been taken over. All these little school boards that are being taken over by these MAGA assholes.
I think that there is a point to be had in the sense that when it comes to Joe Biden winning the election fairly, there was a disturbing amount of people who said, no, Joe Biden did not win this fair election because of, reasons, mail-in voting, even though statistically been proven to actually be realistic, and it actually accounts for all the votes. People still said that that wasn't right. But my argument would be like when Trump won in 2016, people were saying, no, Hillary won this election. So
that's a horrid false equivalency.
In this case, the Republicans were maybe a little more extreme than 2016. But at the same time, I don't think...
Wait, I'm sorry. I have to hold on that. Hillary Clinton conceded the election the next day. The people who said Hillary Clinton won the election did so because she won the popular vote while losing the electoral vote. Nothing that Hillary Clinton's fans did was like subverting democracy. It was criticism of the electoral college system. I don't think there's any comparison to be made between that.
No, I know. I was actually just about to say that. I don't think it's the same, but I think...
Why did you bring it up?
I don't think it's... Obviously, if you look at it, I think there's a lot more problem on one side than another. I think that is a fair point to make, and I do think that that's a worry.
A hell of a lot more problem on one side.
I don't think it's such a worrying trend that it's like people need to arm themselves, be prepared for this huge political unrest in the nation. I think we're fine.
We have a party.
I think the media just wants to make it seem like so extreme. And
just wait till you hear what she says.
Insurrection attempt, for whom tens of millions of Americans still believe that the current sitting president is there illegitimately after cheating, who believe that there is a deep state that conspiratorially orchestrates the outcomes of American elections, with a presidential frontrunner, Donald Trump, who not only did prompt all of this, but continues to threaten that our democracy is illegitimate. This isn't... You think the media is overblowing this? I think the media is underblowing this. What we're looking at right now is a pretty clear set of signals that the Republican Party, if given the power to...
From top to bottom, especially down at the bottom, especially at the local level, which is where they're going to tabulate votes in an election.
In 2024, if they win the presidency, they're going to have the court and the presidency, and they will...
Wait till you hear what she says.
In Congress, and at best, they might have both of the bicameral seats. If that's the case, I consider that... I mean, we're talking about a tremendous, tremendous threat. I think that you're dramatically downplaying both the seeming interest they have in undermining democracy and also the means that they have to achieve it, the ability. They're currently undermining long-standing constitutional precedent with Roe v. Wade.
The Roe v. Wade thing is, if you look at the statistics of who supports it, it's unpopular and it's probably going to hurt them in the vote. I don't think, though, that Republicans would suddenly become a dictatorship if politically it was okay for them to do so. I think if they ever tried to do that, they would never win an election again because nobody wants...
Let me run that back for a second for you.
To threaten that our democracy is illegitimate, this isn't, you think the media is overblowing this? I think the media is underblowing this. What we're looking at right now is a pretty clear set of signals that the Republican Party, if given the power to, would just do away with democracy. They already have the courts. They're probably going to have the Senate. They might end up having the House.
If the Republican Party becomes a dictatorship, they will lose the next election.
At worst, have a
and that's why you're not prepared to do this and debate like this at 22.
If that's the case, I consider that, I mean, we're talking about a tremendous, tremendous threat. I think that you're dramatically downplaying both the seeming interest they have in undermining democracy and also the means that they have to achieve it, the ability. They're currently undermining long-standing constitutional precedent with Roe v. Wade.
The Roe v. Wade thing is, if you look at the statistics of who supports it, it's unpopular and it's probably going to hurt them in the vote. I don't think, though, that like Republicans would suddenly become a dictatorship if politically it was okay for them to do so. I think if they ever tried to do that, they would never win an election again because nobody wants a dictator. We want free and fair elections.
They wouldn't need to win an election.
They become a dictatorship, so there's not going to be elections.
Like,
there will be forced elections. That's the moment that I'm like, I am checked out of this, and I feel sorry for her. I think, and she said she had been on with Destiny, I think. And these Walsh and Destiny are exploiting that young lady, and they should not do that. They know that the title, Debating a Centrist Trans Woman, is going to get clicks. But like that, no, he like at that, and like it's cool that he gave her the shot. That should have been the end of it right there. Like, okay, like I should wrap this up. He should not have gone on. God, this was painful. Should not have gone on another hour and 40-something minutes. I feel sorry for her. She is just young and very naive and not educated on these topics. And Voss should have been savvy enough, but I was like, this is what he wanted, right? If that's the critique, and he's been super cool to me in the interactions I've had with him. But like that's not cool doing that to her. I'm not into that. And if Destiny did it, that's not cool on him to do it. Like, she is clearly out of her depth. And you should not take advantage of that for clicks. And it's at one point in time, she says, like, I know you're scared. And he's like, I'm not scared. I'm rich. I'm fine. Thank you for the self-awareness. But like, did you have to have her on? And he was respectful. Like, he wasn't, I would be mocking somebody that called in and tried to talk to me like that. I would have, like, from that moment on, it would have been mockery towards them. And I can't help it. He was totally respectful. Like, just my only critique is I feel like that's a little exploitative. But then again, we live in late stage fucking capitalism, and it incentivizes that kind of bullshit. It's a shame. But it's just the system we're in. All right. Teased it earlier. I have a new t-shirt design. Just went live on the Freak Store. I tried to make a graphic, but I didn't have enough time. Another day in USA. See the graphic. There's another day in mass shooting, USA. $2 from every sale of this t-shirt goes to every town for gun safety. If you wanted to go buy a t-shirt, I'm going to donate 20% of the proceeds to every town. Because it's just another day in mass shooting USA. I guess that's kind of me exploiting the news I'm getting ready to do. I was gonna have a little graphic pop up with the rifles and like the rifle sound effect and shit. Have the flag waving in the background. I'll have it for tomorrow. That's me exploiting the tragedy that I'm getting ready to talk about right now, and that's why I'm gonna donate 20% of any t-shirt if you like that t-shirt. It's not time for Jubilee yet. Sorry, Warlord. At least 54 injured, 11 killed in 7 separate mass shootings this weekend. We're going to delve deeper into a couple of them. The U.S. continues to grapple with mass shootings, as at least 7 have occurred over the weekend, resulting in the deaths of 11 people and injuries to 54 others. The spate of recent shootings has pushed guns to the forefront of a national conversation as leaders reckon with how to curb the alarming rate of violence. Outdoor high school graduation party in Summerton, South Carolina ended in bloodshed after 2 cars pulled up to a house and before shots were fired. And, okay, that sentence didn't really make sense. 8 people were hit, according to a statement from the Clarendon County Sheriff's Office. The incident appears to have been gang-related, the police said, and it's not clear whether members of the crowd fired back at the vehicles. Between 60 and 70 rounds were fired during the incident. One of the victims died of their injuries on Sunday morning. In Tennessee, shooting in Chattanooga, we're going to go into that here in a second. A bustling street in Philadelphia. I've got some shocking footage we're getting ready to watch. 5 teenagers were shot and hospitalized after gunfire broke out at a West Texas high school graduation party at 1 a.m. on Saturday. There was a shooting in Macon, Georgia. There was a shooting outside a bar in Mesa, Arizona. So we're going to go deeper on some of the more notable instances. To Philadelphia.
Thank you for joining us for this special report at noon. I'm Nydia Hahn along with Jillian Mealy with an update on the mass shooting on South Street in Philadelphia.
We have been following this breaking news all night long. 3 people are dead and 12 others wounded after gunfire erupted in the Queen Village neighborhood. At least 2 gunmen are still on the run at this hour after police say they fired into a crowd of hundreds.
Here's a look at exactly where the shooting happened in the 200 block of South Street. After the gunshots rang out, people in the crowd ran, terrified, down the block.
Just another day in mass shooting USA.
We are told fired at the suspect. It is unclear if the suspect was hit.
We have been following this shooting all night long and have team coverage for you this afternoon. Becca Hendrickson has been focusing on the victims who were taken to 3 local hospitals.
But let's start at the scene of the shooting with Sharifa Jackson, who joins us live with the very latest. Sharifa.
And police, they say hundreds and hundreds of people were here on South Street during the time of the shooting, which can be expected, especially on a Saturday night. The weather was good, but as you can see now, the area is bouncing back rather quickly. The businesses are reopening. People are in and out of the restaurant.
Yeah, just shrug it off. Just business as usual.
Police say that this all began when multiple shooters were shooting into the crowd, and we're hearing from neighbors who are just saying there's a lot of commotion from what they saw and also neighbors and what they heard. Police say they're quick to action. An officer who confronted one of the shooters.
I seriously hope this just isn't every fucking day over the summer.
Began, and Inspector D.F. Pace says it prevented even more people from getting shot or injured. And some neighbors, they tell us that
violent crime tends to go up in warmer weather. It's just associated with being out and about more.
It should go on. It's at that point you question, what is that? You're not sure it's gunshots when it goes on, as long as it goes on. But there must have been 30 shots.
Yes, it's going to be this every fucking day. I don't doubt it.
Just enjoying South Street. as they do every single weekend when this shooting broke out. So this investigation is fluid. There are still a lot of unanswered questions.
And one suspect was last seen running down American Street, and police, they confiscated 2 weapons. They say
And I'm sure the cops are absolutely useless in helping anybody.
information and especially find a motive.
That's gonna be a common theme tonight on the show.
It's just now beginning. They're focusing.
You're not gonna believe what they're doing to reporters in Uvalde. We're gonna get to that.
Side of most of these businesses, trying to see if they had any. We know at least one location here does have video that shows this particular block between 3rd and American with some very clear video, as they said, and police say this will be key as they move forward. Lydia.
Sharifa, thank you. Let's switch now to Becca Hendrickson live at Jefferson University Hospital, where some of the
Let's actually go to the video that she's talking about. Very clear. This is where the shooting starts. This is the surveillance video, shows the moments of the mass shooting. And it is indeed very crowded. I mean, we can take a good guess at when exactly the shots were fired based on how they ran. Malik! What is up?
For the first time exclusively with the NBC News, Cody Brissett.
Yes, I'm a federal agent. Everybody get down on the ground and put your hands behind your head. This is a bust. I'm just playing. Look at me. I'm so burnt out, my brown eye is bloodshot. Oh, that might just be hemorrhoids. Am I a federal agent? I'm not high enough for this shit. I'm not high enough for you people tonight. Moving over to Chattanooga. 3 are dead, 14 shot. A mass shooting in Chattanooga, Tennessee. See if we got a local news hit here. Oh, it's just we've got video. There's no reporting. 2 people died from gunshot wounds, and a 3rd person died after being hit by a car. 3 other people were injured by vehicles fleeing the scene. Wow. The shooting was an isolated incident, and there were likely multiple shooters, according to police. Motive for the shooting is unknown, and the identities of the victims and suspects have not yet been released.
We're asking the public to report those incidences as well so that we can monitor it and mitigate these situations in the future. I know that there's a national, situation going on, but right now I need to get Chattanooga safe, and I want the citizens to feel safe.
That was the Chattanooga police chief. What the fuck is this? I kind of want to watch it. It's not going with the rest of the stories we're talking about, but I kind of want to know about the man killed after being struck by a car and thrown into the wall of a building.
It's his first-hand account after a speeding car hits a pedestrian in Englewood, throwing him through the wall of a building. That man walking his bike
To the window!
2 others were injured.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The driver still hasn't been caught. That crash happened around...
Oh, he fled!
Broadway near Radcliffe Avenue. That's where we find Shauna Karaki tonight. And Shauna, the damage there is extensive.
It was Englewood, Colorado. When she said Englewood, I automatically assumed California.
Through these windows in this store, it's since been boarded up, but we actually spoke to somebody that works at a business a couple doors down. He heard the impact when this crash happened, and
I don't know you.
Make sure that the owner of this business, who he knows well.
Malik, I am not a Marxist. I have read Marx. I understand Marx. I don't. What do you mean by Marxist exactly? I will tell you that I am a capitalist and you're probably not. Because, like, I get called a communist by people, and I own my... I file my taxes as a small business owner. I am a capitalist. I own my own means of production. Sure, I have a dialectical materialist analysis of the world. Yes, in that sense, I am a Marxist, if you want to call me that. You're not gonna believe what the cops were doing in Uvalde to the reporters covering. We went over this last week. The cops are no longer cooperating. No, I do not sell weed. I buy weed.
You sent us some photos of your photographers being harassed by what? Basically, officers directed these bikers to get in their faces. What happened?
That's what we were led to believe by the bikers. The bikers are the ones who told us that they were there on the invitation of the police. We've never been told that by the police. We've tried to reach out to the
police aren't talking anymore.
Concerns about how they're treating the media out there. We've not gotten a response from them yet. So it's just been a really incredible, difficult situation.
Why does anyone buy weed? To smoke it.
So now, at least previously, we were sort of across the street from the funeral homes.
Okay, I'm petite bourgeoisie. Bergen is correct. But also, this isn't my job.
We're not allowed to just walk the street across. Reporters are getting told, no, you can't be here.
I sure ain't making no YouTube money.
Not private. This is private property. And we're like, no, we're standing in the middle of the street.
Right.
So on Thursday, one of our reporters was confronted by these bikers who said they were there to help protect the families. And they don't need protection from us. We always treat them respectfully. This is not a fun part of the job. Who wants to go talk? Who wants to approach someone when they're experiencing this, unimaginable loss? But we see it as part of our duty. We want to tell their stories. We want to tell the stories of the loved ones. And I'm being told that even in instances where the family wants to talk to the media, that these people were telling him, these bikers were saying, you don't have to talk to them. You don't have to talk to them. Just move along. So there's that added thing now that not only are they trying to prevent journalists from talking, but they're trying to prevent families too who want to share their stories, who want us to know what happened to their loved ones that day, and who have questions too, just like we do.
Disturbing indeed. Fuck the cops. You're going to say that again later on. I have another story that's going to make your blood boil. A cab. Sticking on the topic of mass shootings, let's let Karl Rove weigh in. He was on Fox News talking about preventing mass shootings because I'm sure Karl Rove has never been wrong about anything ever in his life. Curiouser, welcome. Those of you just joining us, I've launched a new t-shirt design on the Freak Store, and I'm going to donate 20% of the proceeds to Anytown for gun safety. This is the design. Another day in mass shooting USA. Karl Rove, whose nickname was Turd Blossom. I love this because, I came of age during the Bush administration. That was like when I was really getting into politics, was during the Bush administration. I campaigned for Bush while I was president of the Young Republicans in high school. So I've never gotten the chance to talk about Karl Rove like this. And his nickname from George W. Bush was Turd Blossom. So we're going to hear what Turd Blossom, who, spoiler alert, has been wrong about everything in his entire career as a political advisor, has been racist, helped the Republican Party gerrymander at the state level, But he is now a Fox News contributor, and he's got some thoughts about mass shootings.
All of this from Carl Rove, what he makes of that.
That's who everybody wants to hear from.
Well, we've got a very emotional issue here, strong feelings on both sides. Might be good to step back.
What's the other side?
The last time we actually had something done on this, which was in 2018. You may remember in November of 2017, there was a mass shooting in Sutherland Springs, Texas.
Bump stock
former
thing?
Airman who shouldn't, because of his military record, been allowed to purchase a gun, killed nearly 24 people in a shooting that centered around the First Baptist Church of that town. 2 senators decided they were going to do something about it. Democrat Senator Murphy of Connecticut and Republican John Cornyn of Texas. Those names are familiar because those are the same 2 men.
The same crusty old fucks that are there today.
This time around that would be constructive. And what they did that last time was, the issue was that federal and state agencies turned out not to be supplying to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, the NICS system is what it's called, the names of people who shouldn't be allowed to buy guns. So the first thing they did was they made certain that state...
He's got a goddamn dry erase board.
Downloading this data were being forced to...
Same crusty fucks who are going to do jack shit about this crisis. Exactly right, Merkin.
Systems to make them
fucking men.
They expanded the sharing of data among about people who shouldn't be able to buy guns among different agencies. And then they also took the opportunity to say a lot of these issues of people who shouldn't be able to purchase guns.
I mean, those little measures are all well and good and all needed and seems like fucking common sense shit, but it doesn't go near far enough. It doesn't matter that you wrote it on a fucking dry erase board.
When the massacre
Turd blossom.
To March of 2018 to write the bill, get the support, and pass it with big bipartisan votes in the House and the Senate. And in the next year alone, 6 million names of people who shouldn't be allowed to purchase a gun because of criminal activity or something in their background under state and federal law were added to the NICS.
And you know what? Fuck you, Cavuto, too.
What we can do if you focus on the problem at hand and try.
Katie Porter actually illustrates shit with her whiteboard.
Just taking every gun control desire of the left and tossing it into a gigantic bill and saying vote for it or else.
Then there's the issue of privacy advocates who don't like background checks in general, at least those that might be considered too sweeping. In the case of the Texas shooter, there's an issue about, even though he didn't have a criminal record, he might have had a number of youthful indiscretions, that's probably a polite way of putting it, that never showed up because we do have a history in this country of not putting them on permanent records because this notion of kids do stupid things, why should it stick with them for life? But what do you make of that and whether that part of it...
Glenn Beck had the chalkboard, and chalkboard's just giving me the shivers. I wouldn't be able to use the chalk. I have a dry erase board up here where I keep like my projects.
But going
so,
back...
I like a dry erase board.
Well, we had 2 states, Florida and Indiana, which are red states, that passed...
It's a wow factor, I guess.
They wanted to get themselves into a position where somebody was saying something... that was problematic, that there were tools available to law enforcement and to the justice system to keep them from getting weapons. But that that may be the way to go. I would say this, however, it all starts with people speaking. If you
your
see
mom, Malik, that's what the American government should do.
Apparently the
Your
young man in
mom.
question in Uvalde was text messaging or communicating via social media with a number of young girls and making violent threats. Somebody
you usually draw on my dry erase board.
Dad, this guy, I don't know him, but he's saying ugly things, and because we've got to detect these people before they reach the brain.
Once again, like like he's putting the onus back on the individual. What we need to do is stop the individual from buying a gun. I don't think there should be manufacturers. My position on the whole gun control debate is that we should outlaw the commercial sale and manufacture of guns. I don't think it should be illegal to personally own a gun. I think we should outlaw the gun industry so that they aren't writing our laws, so that they aren't pumping money into the hands of politicians, There's not money to be made off of mass death. And it's gonna be a process. Like, I mean, this isn't gonna go away. There's no magic bullet. Ooh, bad pun. It's going to take some time. Like, you have to reduce the number of guns. I didn't say outlaw guns. I said outlaw the commercial sale and manufacture of guns. You can't sell them for a profit. You can't commercially, you can't have Remington, you can't have Colt, you can't have whatever fucking gun company just shoveling these things out into the public and all the money that they make. I don't give a shit if anybody owns a gun. I'm a leftist. But in late stage capitalism here, they're just flooding this and mass shootings. Who gives a shit if people get guns? That's the point, is you want to actually reduce the number of guns. There doesn't need to be so many goddamn guns. Because like it's like 30% of the population owns 80% of the guns or some shit. Might even be higher than that. It's like it's these fucks that just hoard guns, and it's this gun culture. And you can make guns yourself. And and there are already 400 million. It's not like there's not enough guns to go around already. A Pinterest gun recipe. Oh, fuck, that was hilarious. And here's the thing. I think I've got the best solution. But I mean, as I said, nothing is gonna work overnight. But here's the deal. Americans overwhelmingly prioritize gun control over ownership rights. The loudest fucks about this are amplified by far right money, and they're just screaming at us. I've seen the dumbest shit. Like, I should be able to own fucking blah 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 blah. Like, no, you shouldn't. Most people shouldn't even be able to own guns. Like, honestly, most of the people I know have no business owning guns. Some people are perfectly responsible with them. Sparkles is armed. She always packing. She's perfectly responsible with it. My best friend, he has one. It's properly stored. Ohio has entered the chat. Americans overwhelmingly prioritize gun control over ownership rights. 70% of Americans think enacting new gun control laws should take precedence over protecting ownership rights, according to an ABC News Ipsos poll out on Sunday. The findings indicate widespread support for stricter gun control laws in the wake of mass shootings in Buffalo, New York, Uvalde, and Tulsa. On the flip side, 29% of respondents believe protecting the right to own a wide variety of guns should be a higher priority than enacting new gun control laws. The gap between the two positions has widened by 9 points since March of 2021. Exactly, these gun nuts are getting more radical. The results were split along partisan lines, with 90% of Democrats and 75% of independents surveyed prioritizing new gun laws. 56% of Republicans in the poll said protecting gun ownership rights takes priority. Biden, king. Oh, fucking shit. Well, you know, it's not like the politicians themselves aren't being threatened by gun violence as well. Maybe Mitch McConnell might be more open to the idea of some sort of gun control based on the fact that he was on a kill list. 2 governors, both Democrats, Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan and Tony Evers in Wisconsin, were on a Wisconsin gunman's kill list But surprisingly, also the Republican Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell was on the list. So that makes me think this dude's a Trumper and he thinks McConnell turned on Trump or some shit. That's just my guess. I might be wrong. Douglas K. Udi is suspected of killing a former county judge. A gunman suspected of fatally shooting a retired county judge at a Wisconsin home had a list that included Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, and Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers. Whitmer's office and law enforcement source said on Saturday. Douglas K. Udi, who is 56, who has not been charged, is suspected of killing retired 1A County Judge John Romer at Romer's house in New Lisbon on Friday. This is according to the Wisconsin Department of Justice in a news release on Saturday. Udi was found in the basement of the home with a self-inflicted gunshot wound following attempts by police to negotiate with him. Udi is hospitalized in critical condition. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul on Friday said the shooting appeared to be a targeted act and that the gunman had selected people who were part of the judicial system. But investigators believe the gunman also may have planned to target other government officials and found a list in his vehicle that contained the names of several prominent elected leaders, a law enforcement official said. Romer was found zip-tied to a chair in his home and had been fatally shot, the official said. The official could not discuss details of the investigation publicly and spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity. Udi has an extensive criminal and prison record dating back at least 2 decades, including a case when he was sentenced by Romer to 6 years in prison on a weapons charge. He was released from his last prison stint in April of 2020. Zach Pohl, Whitmer's deputy chief of staff, said her office was notified that her name appeared on the Wisconsin gunman's list. Whitmer became the object of protests and criticism after she blamed former President Donald Trump for stoking anger over COVID-19 restrictions and refusing to condemn right-wing extremists. Romer, 68, was a very loving, very encouraging man with a wonderful sense of humor who will be dearly missed by the community. Oh, that was the judge they killed. I was like, Udi was the killer. Well, I'm a little high right now. That was according to Chip Wilkie, the pastor at St. Paul's Evangelical Lutheran Church in Mauston, where Romer was the president of the congregation and evangelism chairman. Evangelism chairman. What a weird title. Speaking of Trump and nut jobs associated with January 6th, the January 6th hearings are going to start this week, according to CBS News. Maybe our union's not going to be able to survive the January 6th hearings. Oh, goddamn. I might be wrong with the framing of just the headline here. Let's listen to what the piece has to say. If it's going to play for us.
Earlier, we told you about the upcoming January 6th hearings in Washington. Some thoughts about that from our John Dickerson.
During the Civil War, President Lincoln was told construction on the
Capitol. Now, when we watch shit live, we go to like C-SPAN or PBS or some shit.
If people see the Capitol going on, it is a sign we intend the Union shall go on. Both did, affirming the relationship between a temple of American democracy and the durability of that democracy. USA! 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 On January 6, 2021, rioters tried to stop the Union as it had been going on by stopping what was going on inside the Capitol. The peaceful transfer of power that has been the hallmark of the Union since its founding 246 years ago. This week, congressional hearings will examine that attack but they will reveal more than just what happened.
They smeared shit on the walls.
Highlight what
They stole a door. Anybody got the door?
Between two sets of habits that will determine how the Union will go on into the future. One set of habits is represented by the Capitol, that competing interests can be resolved through reason, and that when the people decide to transfer power, we affirm the system that allows it by gathering on the Capitol steps for the handover. The rioters brought other habits.
The mob was fed lies. They were provoked by the president and other powerful people. And they tried to use fear and violence to stop a specific proceeding of the first branch of the federal government, which they did not like.
Never before had the president, the most powerful person in American government, taken aim at a core feature of that government. The widespread bipartisan revulsion after January 6th should have banished the habits of the rioters and the president they say inspired them, but it has not. Polls show a majority of Republicans believe the 2020 election was stolen, despite legal decisions and election audits. Donald Trump was not bounced from his party for breaking with...
These are the people I'm supposed to try to convince on a show. I'm supposed to cater to these people. That's the problem. Is that the world doesn't... That's the problem. Going back to the comment that I got on YouTube, where they basically I'm too mean to people, is what they said. You're not going to win people over to your side. Like, you know, you're just upset that I'm not catering to this specific group of people who have been privileged throughout American history. This specific group of affluent, white, straight, predominantly Christian, predominantly male cohort that vote in a block together, that believe in this patriarchal system. And it really is all about their fifis. They vote with their fifis. They have a feeling of some mythical America. You know, the Washington had wooden teeth kind of mythos of America. Not the actual bullshit that happened. Not the fact that Washington, you know, pulled teeth from live slaves. You know, it's the chopping down the cherry tree basic version of history as it was taught to them when they were in the fucking 4th grade, and they never got any more critical analysis. And a fucking hell of a lot of them went to schools where the textbooks were influenced by lost cause propaganda. They teach the history of, like, the Civil War from, like, the South's perspective that it was unjust to them. Or, like, a leave it to... My mom, my own mother, had that, like... It's like this brain fog associated with boomers that grew up with a Leave It to Beaver, Andy Griffith Mayberry kind of ideal America. And my mom said that to me plenty of times. Like, there was nothing that... It was not like that when I was a kid. And I'm like, I have to go back into textbooks. Like, there were race riots all over the fucking country. There was like, all this shit happened. You just lived in rural fucking eastern Kentucky. And there wasn't that many people around you. And you were just a homogenous group. And there was still shit that went on. The whole Hatfield-McCoy feud. It was not that many fucking decades before you were born, woman. Union battles and shit. Like fucking... But they've got this idealized version that was fed to them by TV. TV really was like brain rotting. Just random lynchings going on, yeah. And I have to go and show them like, no, the deadliest decade for mass shootings before the 2010s was the 1970s. Like shit, this shit been going on for a hell of a long time. Right-wingers are morons. And I'm sorry, like, they're upset that I look, not everything caters to you and your viewpoint. That's like that stupid fuck, Jake Jacobs I was picking on had that whole thing about how Snickers or fucking Mars Corporation had a little boy in a dress on one of their Halloween, like he was dressed as a witch or some shit for Halloween. And like they're just upset that the world doesn't cater to them. They're gigantic fucking babies. Oh, fuck. Would you like to see clips of a presidential advisor pretty much incriminate himself on TV?
But Navarro, we now know, was quietly plotting in secret. And he was getting others on board and encouraging state legislators to overturn the results. They had a suspicious call on January 2nd with some of Trump's team, with allegedly Trump himself, important, and very consequentially, hundreds of state legislators. This is in Navarro's contempt report, which I'll get to, but he told them allegedly, quote, "Your job is to take action." Now, you know what else happened on January 2nd? That was 4 days out from the insurrection. Some people may or may not remember this, but this is important.
He didn't do a good job of introing this, but Peter Navarro was arrested on Friday. One of the top economic advisors. He was just on like the day before with this is Ari Melber, I believe. He was just on like the day before or 2 days before with Ari Melber. And was just confessing to everything. Confessing to every fucking thing.
You might even hear about it next week in these hearings if they go through the timeline, because that same day that we now know Navarro was secretly trying to get partisan help on the ground to steal the election in states that Trump lost, well, Trump was dialing up one of those states, same day. This is what put him under criminal investigation even now. Calling the Secretary of State in Georgia, demanding massive voter fraud. Find me vote.
There is a grand jury. We should know if they're going to move on him within,
really trying to do what
10 months,
electors, the state legislators,
11 months. I don't remember exactly how long it's been going on.
Initially, questions were focusing on Trump aides and, of course, Bannon and Meadows. They both fought the House probe and both were held in contempt, one indicted.
The grand jury now has indicted Steve Bannon for contempt of Congress.
For spurning subpoenas to answer questions and provide documents to the House Select Committee investigating the deadly riot.
The fate of Mark Meadows now lies in the hands of the Justice Department. This after the House voted to hold Donald Trump's former chief of staff in contempt of Congress.
And that was late last year, and that was coming into view. Why are certain people so intent on hiding and running? And are they the same people who were involved in something so bad that at the time they didn't want to talk about it in public?
Malik, you seem like you've got a lot to say. Would you like to jump into the Discord, or would you like to call me? 917-830-4359. But like I think you said you weren't in the U.S. Would you like to Discord with me? I don't know why you would have such strong opinions on American politics. Now, I mean, I understand that people from other countries watch shows about American politics just because, like, it's a train wreck and you can't look away from it. I believe that's why we have our good friend Warlord here. You're a fucking idiot. I have a very strong opinion. It's that you're a fucking idiot. Just saying. But like, if you wanna talk all this shit, like, will you actually talk to me? Let's hear your opinions. You seem like you got a lot to say. And like, if you got the international calling, I have a phone number. What do you mean by addict? I'm addicted to a lot. I have a very addictive personality. Like, I'm addicted to coffee. I'm addicted to chocolate milk. I'm addicted to wanking it to some wild ass porn. Weed addiction is real. I agree. I try to make me go to rehab. I say no, no, no. I think you're an idiot. Just saying. And hey, if you think drugs aren't for you, more power to you. You don't get to make that decision for other people, or that makes you a fascist. And fascists can go fuck themselves. I'm in a mood tonight, and if you want to keep talking shit and you want me to pay attention to you, then call in or hop in the Discord. Or we're going to go back to covering the news, and we're going to make fun of Peter Ass Navarro incriminating himself on the TV, because it's funny.
They had this secret plot. So, here on MSNBC, we pressed Navarro on what was it? Exactly what was he trying to do?
We had over 100 congressmen and senators on Capitol Hill ready to implement the sweep. We were going to check.
This is January 4th. That was yesterday. Wait, did he appear with Ari Melber after he got out of his court appearance, after he'd been arraigned?
Challenge the results of the election in the 6 battleground states. We were following the Constitution and rules of the Senate to simply get a recount of what the votes were.
Do you realize you are describing a coup?
No.
He says no. This will be adjudicated. The January 6th committee would later cite that very interview as evidence. It was one of the few times that, again, Navarro was...
Oh, that was January 4th of 2021.
A very different way to garner information than just...
Oh, Drake, you're right. I'm high. January.
Where MAGA
it was also like a year ago. I'm too high for this shit now.
Where he and his co-plotter, Bannon, talk up these...
Get with it, Justin.
There was this moment that came one day after Meadows was held in contempt.
You were the hero on January 6th, Steve. You were the guy who had
the hero
strategy to go up to Capitol Hill. Pence is the quarterback. We had 100 people working on the Green Bay team as linemen, halfbacks, and fullbacks.
Bragging about
Pence was the Tim Tebow. That's a very apt comparison.
For Steve Bannon, and even if you sprinkle in this incessant need to do sports analogies, but as they say, whatever. They both knew there were open probes going on. They both have government experience, and litigation and investigation is part of modern governance. But they went out there. I want to show you this. We've shown you some of the beat interview, but I want to show you the path here. They went out there and literally taunted Congress as feckless and acting without consequences.
There's been no outreach from 6 January Commission for Peter Navarro, and here's the reason. Because Peter Navarro, the first thing he'll send over is, hey, put this in the official record, which would be the Navarro report. I don't want to...
Dog that didn't bark.
The dog that didn't bark. No outreach. Bannon saying the government had not...
Where's Sparkles at? She'd be like, ruff, 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 ruff. She loves barking at people.
At the time, maybe it was unclear if the government ever would get to Navarro. But the dog barked. It's barked more than once. First, hitting Navarro with a House subpoena. He defied that. Again, in looking for answers, we go to the sources whenever we can. We ask the questions, and we invited him on to discuss the choice.
Spitting teeth, too, yeah. She loves that as well.
His view of legal privilege. Why risk a legal battle or going to jail to refuse to discuss them with the committee under oath?
The president has invoked executive privilege. It's not my privilege to waive.
Do you understand that you've already waived it by discussing it? They want under oath. And number two, finally, Peter, are you prepared to risk indictment for defying the subpoena?
I'll stand tall on this.
He kept defying.
It was really edited. I don't like that.
Other aides who cooperated. The committee barked again. He's now, Navarro, just one of 4 people held in contempt. And House investigators in the contempt proceeding noted that he shred his own privilege case by talking about this in public as they made the case against him.
I would think.
He has so much knowledge to share with a journalist, but he refuses to share that knowledge in response to a lawful subpoena.
He's written a book boasting about his role in planning and coordinating the activity of January 6th.
He's given multiple television interviews regarding our subpoena. He's failed to comply with our investigation.
Mr. Navarro insists that he is above the law.
This is America, and there's no executive privilege here for presidents, much less trade advisors, to plot coups. The courts aren't buying it, and neither are we.
The House held him in contempt after that. And then questions swirled, both from members of that committee I just showed you and analysts, about whether Attorney General Garland's DOJ would act.
What's the holdup at the Department of Justice?
The Department of Justice has a duty to act on this referral and others we have sent.
That was March, which isn't that long ago. Then Navarro filed his lawsuit against the committee. And now we're up to this last couple weeks. Because in that recent lawsuit, Navarro dropped a bombshell. He himself revealed that the Justice Department had hit him with a new criminal grand jury subpoena with the deadline of yesterday. Navarro did not apparently comply with that, but he did join me for a third interview. That's yesterday, last night, which would be his last interview before today's indictment. Now, I want to show you something that
now we're up to speed.
Because it's all brand new. And it goes into this context. In the final countdown to today's assertive arrest,
it's the final countdown.
Yesterday, when he didn't show up, he was indicted under seal. And if you look at that actual magistrate document here, which I'm going to keep on the screen for you, this is dated June 2nd, but you see under the highlighted there, it comes in at 16:34 military time. That's 4:34 p.m. The judge approving treating Navarro like a fugitive because of the risk of flight or tampering, which is a new crime, that this would stay under seal until they got him, which they did at the airport. That 16:34 was 2 hours before Navarro would join us on air last night. So according to the filing, keep in mind when he was saying these things last night, he was already under secret indictment, which makes last night's interview unlike any we've done with him or any we've ever done. Wall under sealed indictment, not knowing that he would wake up the next morning and be arrested at an airport.
On his way to the airport.
He was telling us last night things like this.
I have responded to the Justice Department, and there will be ongoing interactions on that to be determined. If I were to go to prison for a year, which is what the contempt of charge could do to me, that would be about a fourth of my remaining life. This is why I'm fighting.
So let me respond. Let me respond to you.
And I'll take Biden and every single senior staff.
Wait, he thinks he's going to live another 4 years
with subpoenas, and we'll start with the impeachment of Biden.
You do realize these investigators can hear you when you talk on TV, and they can. And the road is to what you see on
Hitler's cabbage
today.
I love you guys.
People who try to defy the committee have been indicted. We don't know if the others await further processing or might be somehow trying to reach an accommodation. And hours after that, this morning, basically hours later from this development, Navarro was arrested, then appeared hours later in court. I want to show you this. This is brand new, airing for the first time.
Ooh.
He walked out of that court proceeding after everything that got us to this point.
He said some more nonsense.
It was unfair for the government to treat him this way, to treat him like some defiant fugitive, that they could have called him and asked him to peacefully come in rather than arrest him, handcuff him, and shackle him.
He was a flight risk.
I was on my way to Nashville today. What did they do? They didn't call me. Instead of
we don't want you around these parts.
We need you down at court. We've got a warrant for you. I would have gladly come. What did they do? They intercepted me getting on the plane. And then they put me in handcuffs. They bring me here. They put me in leg irons. They stick me in a cell. That's punitive.
Good. You're a criminal, you motherfucker.
Violated the Constitution.
Mr. Navarro.
No.
Saying he would have followed the government's request when he is being indicted
for not following the government's request,
for publicly defying the government's requests. This is larger than any one case or one person. Indeed, whatever one thing.
Why? Because right-wingers are morons. Let's hear what some morons have to say about Peter Navarro getting arrested. We're going to pop on over to Newsmax, I believe it is. I don't even think that's not even Newsmax, is it? This is Jason Miller on whatever. Maybe it is Newsmax. It's the Eric Bowling. The callback with Eric Bowling or some shit like this. Possibly on Newsmax. I don't fucking know. Who knows?
Thoughts, Jason, before we get into some of the other stuff? What are your thoughts about what Peter had to say there?
Yeah, the first thing that really struck me was the fact that they went and arrested him, put him in handcuffs. I mean, this is Peter Navarro. He's an economist. Yeah. He's a PhD. You see that he's a very serious, very buttoned-up guy, and you're going to go throw him in handcuffs? Eric,
these are the people that were chanting to lock her up. Lock her up. It's OAN or Newsmax or some other knockoff.
How do you see this and not think this is purely just the witch hunt against anyone who had anything to do with President Trump or anyone who might have something to do with President Trump in the future?
Thoughts, Jason?
It's not about having something to do with President Trump. It's about having something to do with orchestrating a coup, motherfucker. Apparently, Navarro, we're just going to read a little bit of this from this Mother Jones article. Boom. If you want to read the whole thing. Peter Navarro, a former advisor to Donald Trump facing contempt of Congress charges, ranted about the United States government in a court hearing in D.C. on Friday, alleging that Congress conspired with the Justice Department to deprive him of his rights. I am disappointed in our republic, he told the judge. On Saturday, Navarro was in New York praising the new federal state of China, a supposed government in waiting for Beijing, launched in 2020 by Gao Wangao, also known as Miles Gao, an exiled Chinese businessman, and Steve Bannon, another former Trump aide. Well, that's a scam, I can tell you right there. Just right off that is a scam. Navarro last year became an international ambassador for the group. It's not clear what, if any, responsibilities that role entails, and Navarro has not responded to questions about what he may be paid. Yesterday about this time, I was in a jail cell with leg irons and handcuffs on. This is reminding me of Michael Jackson complaining about getting locked up. He's like, they smeared doo-doo feces on the wall. We're standing up for an important constitutional principle in this country, but I would not let that. And what constitutional principle is that? You're violating the Constitution, sir. But I would not let that stand in the way of coming to see you, the great Miles Gao, and to be here with my brother in arms, Steve Bannon, to talk really about the importance of freeing China from the Chinese Communist Party. Navarro told a host who was interviewing him as part of the new federal state's second anniversary celebration. Wow. Bannon, too, was indicted for contempt of Congress last year. Both men have refused to cooperate whatsoever with subpoenas from the Select Congressional Committee investigating the January 6th attacks. Speaking of people that have not cooperated, there are two people that have yet to be indicted, and apparently, Adam Schiff don't know what the fuck is going on.
We're going to go now to California Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff. He joins us from Los Angeles. Mr. Chairman, good morning to you.
Good morning.
You wear a lot of hats, but I want to ask you about the January 6th committee that you serve on. The Justice Department, as you know, on Friday decided not to prosecute the former Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, or Social Media Director Dan Scavino for refusing to cooperate with your committee. I know the committee said that was puzzling. Is it your understanding
that puzzling.
These men are immune from all prosecution?
No, they're not, and it is very puzzling why these two witnesses would be treated differently than the two that the Justice Department is prosecuting. There is no absolute immunity. These witnesses have very relevant testimony to offer in terms of what went into the violence of January 6th, the propagation of the big lie, and the idea
I say.
Simply failed to show up.
Boy.
And when the statute requires the Justice Department to present those cases to the grand jury, they don't, is deeply troubling. We hope to get more insight from the Justice Department, but it's I think, a grave disappointment and could impede our work if other witnesses think they can likewise refuse.
Adam Schiff is not a bad guy, but he should not be as powerful as he is in the Democratic Party.
Actually applying here.
I don't understand why he is the
that shouldn't be the explanation here, because
chair of so many committees in the face of so much that they do.
No even plausible.
I'm sure they consider him a young up-and-comer.
They're both involved in campaign matters. They both have documents that they could offer. None of this is protected by privilege. And the idea that you can simply refuse to show up, rather than show up and say, as to this question, I'm going to exert a privilege, that just invites others to be in contempt of Congress or be in contempt of judges around the country in other courtrooms. And I think it's a very dangerous precedent.
I don't know what the fuck Merrick Garland is doing, and
CBS has confirmed that Mike Pence's chief of staff, Mark Short, actually warned the Secret Service and the lead agent protecting the vice president the day before January 6th that he thought the president would turn on the vice president and that it would pose a direct security risk. We know Mr. Short plans to testify himself before your committee. Is that sufficient? Do you need to hear from the vice president?
Margaret, we're not commenting on specific witnesses, so I can't confirm or deny who will appear before us. I can say that certainly one of the themes that we will be
we keeping it under wraps.
That there was an understanding.
We can come out. We got our bag of tricks for you.
Of the participation of white nationalists.
I'm worried about how this is actually going to come off. They think this is going to be like a fucking hot topic in the country, and I'm not so sure it's going to make the splash they think it is. Would right-wing media even cover this shit?
Groups of the effect that the continued propagation of this big lie to rile up the country and rile up the president's base was likely to lead to violence. So you will see that theme among the narratives that will be exhibited during these hearings. But as to a particular witness, I really can't comment.
But if you don't deliver a bombshell on Thursday, don't you run the risk of losing the public's attention here?
Our goal is to present the narrative of what happened in this country, how close we came to losing our democracy, what led to that violent attack on the 6th. The American people, I think, know a great deal already. They've seen a number of bombshells already. There's a great deal they haven't seen. But perhaps most important is the public hasn't seen it woven together, how one thing led to another, how one line of effort to overturn the election led to another and ultimately led to terrible violence. The first.
I mean, I agree, but I'm worried about how it's going to be perceived at the public at this time. I think the timing is off.
At people, an audience, frankly,
we're in the middle of summer.
About these facts,
yeah.
We want to counter the continuing propagation of big lies, and that's.
They're wanting to get it over with before campaign season.
Inflation, which is a problem throughout the country. The San Francisco Fed said that the American Rescue Plan contributed about 3 percentage points to inflation. It's not the primary driver, but a contributor to it. In hindsight, do you think Democrats should have structured that $2 trillion package differently? Should it have been smaller?
No, I don't think so. And of course, there have been other studies that have.
And let me ask a question. There's like the NBA Finals going on, isn't there? I'm like somewhat aware that there might be a game going on. Are they going up against a basketball game in the championship series? I got the internet. I guess I could find out.
More minimal impact on inflation.
It's a non-political
What I
group,
do think
you
is
know
the
that.
cause, and well, no, I understand that, but again, there are studies that show that it had a negligible impact on inflation as well that are also very credible. I think the reality is, though, and this I think is borne out by all the evidence, is there was a global inflationary pressure.
Okay, there will not be a game. They're playing on Wednesday and Friday.
In the United States, that problem is particularly acute.
I guess it has to go to game 4.
When we emerged,
they're playing on Wednesday and Friday. It is the Warriors and the Celtics.
The disparity between that demand and the supply was so pronounced as to lead to this inflation. But
Boston is up 1 game already in the series.
Every way we can. I think, sadly, the Republicans are getting in our way because they would rather have the issue of inflation than really do something about it.
And there's a game going on right now.
Congress and what the administration is battling against.
Well, the administration...
I'm going up against a basketball game.
Decisions that keep inflation in mind as well. We know the president is preparing to travel to Saudi Arabia this summer, and he'll meet with the royal family.
They have postponed his trip.
Prince, who U.S. intelligence said issued that order to kill or capture a U.S.-based writer named Jamal Khashoggi.
I didn't put that on the list, but that was something that has happened, I guess, since this interview.
He should be shunned. I think he should be, I don't think the president should talk with him. I don't think the president should see him.
Should the president still go to Saudi Arabia and meet with the crown prince?
I think they have canceled that as of this interview.
In my view, no. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't shake his hand.
Sparkles will go. Would you like to send Sparkles as an envoy from the United States? She would totally go. She might not come back. We'll be referring to her as like Queen Lavender bin Salman or some shit here in a little bit. Is there a smarter mod in the chat? Okay, but my worry coming up against this January 6th hearing is that all the right-wing media isn't even going to be trashing it. Like, they're not even going to be talking about it. They'll ignore it, and they'll do things like this, like attack something that Biden's doing that's good.
Corinthian is nothing compared to the broader plan that Hillary's talking about to wipe out student loan debt for millions. Bloomberg is reporting that Biden's plan to wipe $10,000 per borrower could cost taxpayers $380 billion. Not to mention the fact that 71% of the benefits would flow to folks in the top half of the income scale. Washington Post editorial.
It don't take much to be in the top half of the income scale. Let me debunk the argument that forgiving a student loan debt would benefit rich people. Rich people don't have student loan debt. Let me say it again. Rich people don't have student loan debt. Rich people don't have student loan debt. Rich people don't have student loan debt.
For the upper middle class. Joining us now to discuss, Congressman Lee Zeldin. Good to see you, Congressman. Thanks for being here. The Washington Post, which is becoming more and more critical.
And when have they ever been against giving something to the upper middle class?
Election year stunt. Is it a stunt?
I agree. You're basically buying off support for an election to keep power. It's wrong because of all the other people who actually paid off their student loan debt doing the right thing. It's wrong for the people.
That is the dumbest argument.
And they chose to go to another school, or they're working hard, full-time jobs, maybe even 2 jobs in order to pay for college. It's wrong for the sense of entitlement for people who might be going to college in the future, as well as the point you just covered of people wanting to know, well, how are you going to even pay for it? So as you get closer to the November 8, 2022 election, control of House and Senate up for grabs. This is a political stunt, which is seeking to buy off votes. It's as wrong as it gets.
It is delivering a service to constituents, which is what politicians are supposed to do.
One way or another, particularly if they just wipe out debt.
Cope harder, and it's only 10 grand. It should have been 50 grand at least, if not all of it.
I think that is absolutely correct. That's a consequence as well of what's going to happen. Listen, I mean, I've run 4 times for the House. My initial campaign in 2014.
Yeah, you're probably a ghoul, and you sound like a loser. I've ran 4 times for the House and I've lost.
I'll give you free college.
So I'm not very interesting.
Housing, free monthly stipends, and the list can go on. And it, maybe it helps you to get votes.
Listen. I think you should expand the EBT program. I think everybody in the country should get it regardless of who there is. No means testing. I think it should be $400-500 a month even. Maybe $600 a month. I don't know. I don't know, like, I was on EBT a hell of a long time ago. I don't know about like inflation, what it actually is right now. Maybe it's $700 a month. Be generous. Expand it to be cleaning products, toothpaste, tampons, toilet paper, shit like that. Everybody gets it. It's a form of UBI. It's an expansion of an already existing system. An already existing system that works well. We remove the stigma. There's no more judging somebody when they use their EBT card at the store. Nobody goes hungry. And everybody can get the shit that they need for their household. You can get your food. Expand it to hot meals. You can get your cheese. I give shit away, people. It's a giveaway. No, like, you should take care of people's basic needs. You should allow people. You wanna have a capitalist system. If that's what you want to do, then in order for a capitalist system to continue to function, monopoly is a fantastic lesson in this. You have to have a currency, and even then, monopoly may, after hours, finally come to a close. But everybody's got to get their money when they pass go. Like, everybody agrees that if you didn't get your money when you pass go on the board, it wouldn't be fair. I don't understand why people think it's not fair to give out enough money to live on to people in real life. Boggles my goddamn mind. I really don't. Right-wingers are stupid.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
We're the only country in the goddamn world that even has, like, student loan debt. And the fucking government here in the U.S. didn't keep track of student loan debt. It wasn't a thing up until the 90s. So this is a burden that's predominantly falling on, the late Gen Xers, my generation, the millennials, and the Gen Z coming up behind us. Warlord, I didn't know that there is a lot of student loan debt in Britain. My apologies. And I'm always open to correcting myself. Most countries don't have student loan debt. It's not actually a thing. I'm sorry, I'm done with this. We're going to move on to Ontario, where apparently it was a very poor turnout. 18% of Ontario voters handed Doug Ford a majority of the government. Whether that's a bad thing depends on who you ask. We're reading from the Toronto Star. Doug Ford's not the crack smoker, right, Warlord? Are you still here? Like, he had a brother, and he was the crack smoker, right? This whole Ford family up there. You think he is the crack smoker? I thought the crack smoker died. One of them died, didn't they? In conventional political terms, Doug Ford won a landslide victory on Thursday night, earning a second straight majority government. But the 83 seats won by Ford's Progressive Conservative Party, that's an oxymoron, came from just 41% of ballots cast. The Liberals, meanwhile, were held to just 8 seats compared to the NDP's 31, even though each received roughly 24% of the vote. Those discrepancies have some political observers wondering whether it's time to scrap the first-past-the-post voting system, which has been in place since Ontario first started holding elections. Critics say it's an anti-democratic anachronism, which doesn't reflect voters' preferences. Hear, hear. It sounds like it. Defenders say it provides some stability and keeps extreme fringe parties from getting a toehold. No, it keeps the moneyed interest in power. It keeps the status quo empowered. A historically low turnout of just 43% of eligible voters has some first-past-the-post backers questioning the system. It's their version of the Electoral College. Look, I'm a big fan of first past the post. I say that 5 times fast. But it does bother me when I do that math. 41% support and 43% turnout gives you just under 18% of the voting population, giving 70%... the 66 and 2/3% chance. I'm sorry I went into the Scott Steiner thing. Giving 70% of the seats and 100% of the power. Said veteran pollster Guido Maggi, the CEO of Main Street Polling. I don't care which party it is, but when 43% of people vote and you do the math, it just seems silly. I'll take your word for it because I got very fucking confused reading that. Look, I'm a big fan of first past the post, but it does bother me when I do that math. 41% support and 43% turnout gives you just under 18% of the voting population, giving 70% of the seats and 100% of the power. Said veteran pollster Guido Maggi, the CEO of Main Street Polling. I'll take their word for it. I'll take their word for it. Apparently, you do the math and it just seems silly, but I cannot do that math. Maybe I'm too high to do that math. I'm thinking if I was sober, that math wouldn't make sense to me either. Don't math with me, motherfuckers. Are you ready to go to the Jubilee? The Queen makes a surprise balcony appearance. Says she is deeply touched by the Platinum Jubilee. Now, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the 70th year of Elizabeth as the Queen. Queen emerged for her adoring public on the final day of the Platinum Jubilee, later saying she had been humbled by the festivities. My heart has been with you all. I don't think I've heard the Queen speak. I probably have, I just don't remember it. I don't think I did a good job of impersonating her. My apologies, I think that's illegal over there. Warlord might have had to turn me off because I'm going to mock his royalty. And I think that is illegal in the UK. Queen Elizabeth has delivered a final Platinum Jubilee message saying she is humbled and deeply touched by the celebrations of her 70th year on the British throne. The statement was released after the monarch appeared in a surprise concluding appearance on the Buckingham Palace balcony after being physically absent for most of the celebrations because of her mobility problems. Her statement read, Did they weekend at Bernie's her? Because I heard she was already dead. So, is somebody, controlling her from behind? Her statement read, when it comes to how to mark 70 years as your queen, there is no guidebook to follow. It really is a first. But I have been humbled and deeply touched that so many people have taken to the streets to celebrate my Platinum Jubilee. While I may not have attended every event in person, my heart has been with you all, and I remain committed to serving you the best of my ability, supported by my family. I have been inspired by the kindness, joy, and kinship that has been so evident in recent days, and I hope this renewed sense of togetherness will be felt for many years to come. I thank you most sincerely for your good wishes, for the part you have all played in these happy celebrations. And there is a picture of the royal family. They're missing the Hollywood couple, right? Like they've been excommunicated or some shit. Is that like? They're still pretty inbred, aren't they? Is that kid okay? I feel sorry for that kid. I feel sorry for all those kids. The Queen appeared twice at the grand finale of the Jubilee celebration. I'm just so I don't have any respect for people that call themselves royalty. I can't say my position on royalty on Twitch. It will violate the terms of service. But you know, like the French Revolution is a good blueprint to follow for anyone. I'm just not this. This family seems lovely. The Queen seems like a lovely lady, actually. Supposedly she's very progressive. I've seen some really nice things said about her. Apparently she might be vindictive. She be ordering some hits on some princesses, remember? I lived through the 90s. I remember that bullshit. The Queen appeared twice at the grand finale of the Jubilee celebrations in London. Once as a hologram. Yeah, and I saw this picture earlier. It's fucking freaky. Look at that shit. That's freaky. And nobody, look at that gaudy fucking Cinderella carriage shit. Fuck that shit. No, nobody should be adorned in that kind of fucking elaborate fucking, like, that's expensive. Look at this shit. Queen rode in the grand vehicle, which has not been seen on the streets of London for 20 years in real life on that day in 1953, so the effect was to recreate that exact scene. Her holographic visitation was a widely trailed moment in pronounced contrast to her final appearance on the balcony of Buckingham Palace at the end of the pageant, which was unconfirmed until almost the last minute. CNN doing the hard-hitting news on the Jubilee, asking the young people what they think about the Queen. Let's get some man-on-the-street interviews here from CNN.
Welcome, both of you. So let me start with what we saw today, the kickoff to a 4-day celebration of the Jubilee. Max, did it live up to expectations?
I think it did. It was all about the crowds. We're lucky with the weather. I mean, these things can be ruined by the weather, but the weather was good, and we got the big fly past of 70 aircraft. Stunning scene.
He's messaging you, Merkin? Like, fucking kick him. Like, if he's being, like, abusive like that, fuck off. Like, there's no reason for that shit.
Not just for her, I don't think, but also for this, you know, new phase, hopefully, after the pandemic, after the divisiveness of Brexit. They all came out, they wanted a party, they saw she was happy, it was reassuring, and I think that a lot of people did want to pay tribute to her. They want to see someone that represents continuity and consistency. It's been a very unsettling time, and she is all of those things to the British public.
Yeah, and there you see her standing next to her great-grandson, Prince Louis, and we saw them have a few cute exchanges there on the balcony during the flyover. You know, Emily, you talk about her reign and the length of time she has spent there, the record length of time she has spent on.
Was I lied to? I wanted young people pissing off about it.
In terms of what we just heard,
it's the fucking Queen.
What she promised at the age of 25 and open. And
hold on. We're gonna hear from John Lydon here in a second.
I think she's more than lived up to the promise.
I don't think it's video, but we're gonna hear what he wrote in an op-ed.
Commit yourself to this role, and she could have predicted quite how long she would be in this position, and yet here she is at 96 years old, still coming out on.
How long is a piece of string?
By the British public.
There's that stupid ass carriage we saw earlier.
Said this continuity, a stability, which people really value here, and she is so ingrained in our national psyche that people are attached to her, whether or not they're.
I'm sure she's a lovely lady.
And Max, you mentioned
but nobody should be considered monarchy.
It's interesting because
royalty.
One could argue has not changed.
I think Prince Bonesaw should be bonesawed.
She remains as popular as ever today. Why do you think that is?
Well, that's the great mastery of Elizabeth II, I think. She does represent continuity, and she does represent something that hasn't changed. But actually, she's been utterly revolutionary in how she's carried out her role. She came to her position, as Emily says, at a tender age. The empire was collapsing. Everyone assumed.
Speaking of tender age, she has a pedophile son.
Invented the empire.
His name is Prince Pedophile.
Commonwealth. So she retained her international footprint. Then we had the media revolution, which she could have pushed away, but she embraced that. She went on walkabouts. She got cameras to come in and film her on walkabouts.
She had a pretty face, so she embraced the media revolution.
Christmas address, and she got into the heart of people's homes in that most intimate time.
She is a lovely lady. Lovely lady.
And she was the first person to go on social media. She invited cats.
That's why it made me think of her pedophile son.
Opened things up in an extraordinary
Prince
way.
Pedophile.
Very, very differently. And, imagine, her father allowing the heir to the throne to marry a divorcee. She was revolutionary in how she's carried out her role. Her skill is making it look as if she wasn't.
Absolutely.
That sounds stupid. That sounds stupid to me.
Her hardest tasks have been directed at scandals within her home and within her family. And I'm just curious, Emily, from what we even saw.
I know nothing about it. Did she have Princess Di killed?
For the world to see on display. There were some notable people who were not on that balcony. Her grandson, right, Prince Harry, her son, Prince Andrew, both mired in scandals of different sorts. How has she now?
Oh yeah, Prince Pedophile wasn't there.
In your view,
she had Prince Pedophile with her the other day for one of these events.
And her public life, so she is very pragmatic when she comes to duty, and she understands, that there wasn't a place for Prince Andrew in particular on the balcony.
Allegedly, Tones, yes, allegedly.
People who
I also never said his name.
The family is Harry and Meghan are often described as. From those.
This was the celebrate. It was the 70th anniversary of her on the throne.
So she's able to separate.
It was a multi-day celebration.
However much pain these recent scandals have caused her, she has remained, with that stiff upper lip.
Oh, here, Tones. Let me.
And just carried on.
And Max, as we mentioned, 14 U.S. presidents met with every single one.
I got to show you the
14 British prime ministers. She obviously didn't have any political or
carriage thing. It's wild.
It was fascinating to watch as she navigated through all of these different administrations, various parties. Is she seemed well aware of what was happening politically, both at home and abroad, throughout the course of her reign.
Yeah, she's very well informed, and any prime minister that she's worked with will tell you that, and other world
Look at that shit with the hologram of her from like back in the 50s.
Point out that she wasn't a political figure, which made her, I would say, the most revered head of state. She still is, certainly the longest serving. You'd have President Putin, President Xi coming here. You had some despots coming here. She would always carry out her role impeccably. They want that photo with the Queen, who is the one living historic figure, someone that's got a guaranteed place in the history books. And I think that.
I mean, she's kind of a despot as well, isn't she?
The British government, and allowed the British government to punch above its weight on.
Let's get an exact definition of despot.
When she eventually moves on, and we're going to have Prince Charles in that position, who's also very effective in those moments. And if you see him, he's very engaged.
It says absolute power, so I guess she doesn't hold absolute power.
But it's that discretion you get with the Queen, which people really look up to, and just the fact that all your predecessors. If you're
I take that back.
Prime Minister, have had that photo.
I want to be precise with my language. She is not a despot.
Would you believe, actually described his state visit to Buckingham Palace as his favourite state visit. So,
but her son is definitely a pedophile. Allegedly.
Yeah, and even U.S. presidents, you get a sense that they are nervous when they travel to meet with the Queen there for those state dinners.
Go
ahead.
I will say I was in this position when President Trump came here, and he was completely out of sorts. He didn't know quite what to do. He got confused during the lineup, and that was actually
no. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Told me that the one figure on the global stage that President Trump was reverential to was the Queen. And you can imagine the power that has for the British government and also for our relationship with
She seems fragile. I'd be worried I'd break her.
Some more muted responses, I would say, in forms of celebration today in some of the Commonwealth nations. How has she navigated the relationship with those nations around the world throughout these years? And how have her family members? I know there had been mixed reception.
I'm going for I want the young people shitting on it.
Max, I think it's appropriate now to talk about what the monarchy there looks like after the reign of Queen Elizabeth. She seems very sharp and astute. There we saw her on the balcony at the...
My answer to that question is constantly that Emily will Prince Charles is...
I was misled by the title.
About shoring up the whole institution, so we're looking beyond just the individual that Prince Charles is and looking at the support team he has, and it's really her saying, look, this is the package.
They've changed the title on me.
Right, because...
See, I thought I was clicking on I couldn't care less what some young Britons think of Queen's Platinum Jubilee. They did a bait and switch on me. They did a fucking bait and switch on me. I didn't want your bullshit blowing fucking shit up the Queen's ass.
Wondering what that line would look.
I came here to make a mockery of the crown and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum. Oh, fuck. Never offer the Queen an ultimatum. Why it's good to be Queen, but no one else in the royal family. The Palace Papers author Tina Brown gives insight into Harry and Meghan's mistakes and Charles's outlook as king. They have no freedom, really, observes Tina Brown. As a journalist, editor, and best-selling author, I don't care. As the world celebrates the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, which marks 70 years on the throne, and the 25th anniversary of the death of Diana, Brown joined me on the Salon Talks. We've got a little video. Do we want to listen to him?
He's a journalist and editor, a best-selling author.
Existence, really. I mean, there are a lot of privilege. Let's make no mistake about it. Crimea River, in the sense that they live very nicely, etc. But they have no freedom, really. And freedom.
Very nicely. You call this very nicely?
Very aptly as all status.
I call that fucking gaudy overkill. I call that theft from the fucking people.
Seem to indicate that Meghan did not understand that.
I call that we should erect some things.
Prince Edward, you described that as well.
Don't get me wrong, like we need to do that to some bankers here in the U.S. And anyone that calls themselves royalty.
Royalty as a platform, you're just supposed to somehow, I don't know, magically be rich or something. And there are so
tones.
You live in sexual anarchy.
She can't be accepting gifts. She can't be accepting gift bags. She can't get the swag anymore. But she also kind of can't.
Yeah, I'm not into this gossipy shit from Salon. Sorry. Let's talk about the Sex Pistols. Johnny Rotten, John Lydon, says, God bless the Queen without any irony for the Jubilee. Because let me tell you, like fucking, I'm not a Sex Pistols fan, but I'm a very big Public Image Limited fan. However, Johnny Rotten is really weird now. There's a picture of him in his MAGA shirt. He apparently lives here in the U.S. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with the man. John Lydon, a.k.a. Johnny Rotten, the lead singer of the Sex Pistols and Public Image Limited, has written a brief and to-the-point editorial for the UK Times that ranges from his thoughts on the royal family to his wife's struggles with Alzheimer's. Oh, I'm sorry for your wife, dude. And from Danny Boyle's new biopic, Pistol, which he fought legally, apparently, in his early struggles with fame. While the London-born Lydon, who has lived in Los Angeles for decades, courted controversy in recent years with statements in support of former President Trump. The editorial finds him as direct and unsentimental as ever, yet the most striking statements are him effectively contradicting the world-shattering statements he made in the Sex Pistols' first two singles, which laid the template for much of punk rock's ethos. In it, he says anarchy is a terrible idea, defying the group's first single, Anarchy in the UK, and God Bless the Queen, which reverts the withering sarcasm of the group's second single, God Save the Queen, and the fascist regime. As Britain observes Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee. He is totally... Okay, here's the weird part, is like, he'll still show up on talk shows, and if you don't get him talking about politics, the dude seems like an awesome guy. And like now he has like a weird... like anti-COVID and weird Trump support fucking views. But like, he was calling out Jimmy Savile fucking years and years and years ago. Back before anybody else was. And he was always speaking like truth to power. So I don't understand what the fuck happened. He got fucking rich. He got rich. He got fucking rich. He's probably friends with Trump. Was friends with Trump long before the whole Trumpism and Trump's entering into politics. So it's just his friend running for office and shit. That's probably, he's got some fucking celebrity brain. Has he been knighted? Has he gone to the fucking Buckingham Palace and been knighted and shit by the Queen? God bless the Queen. She puts up with a lot, he writes. I've got no animosity against any one of the royal family. Never did. It's the institution of it that bothers me, and the assumption that I'm to pay for that. Yeah, well, that's a big part of it. There's where I draw the line. It's like, no, you're not getting ski holidays on my tax. Or, you know, fucking gaudy-ass carriages. I don't know anything about the Sex Pistols. As I said, like, I know Public Image Limited because I like 80s, like, new wave pop, and that shit fucking bangs. I don't like punk music, so I was never really into the Sex Pistols. But fucking Johnny Rotten used to be a cool guy, but he gone rotten his brain. That was a horrible joke. I apologize for that. I'm too stoned for this. Oh no, I'm not fucking high enough for this. God damn, let me give you a content warning. Police released details into man's drowning where they didn't jump in and save him. So, content warning. It's a 12-minute long video. So I ain't high enough for this shit. This happened on May 28th. Looks like they're outside of like some kind of arena or some shit. It's a rather large venue. Could be a school of some sort. You know, I didn't think about that, Tones.
Hi.
Tones in the chat pointed out that cops are loaded down with shit that wouldn't float, so...
Okay, I can't understand what you're saying when you're looking down and mumbling.
I'm just having some little bit of conversating issues with my husband at home, but it's all good. I'm just frustrated because he doesn't.
Okay,
He's just not listening to what
did you guys get into a physical confrontation?
No, nothing like that. No.
Okay.
No, our conversations we get loud. Just we like.
Can you talk to
sometimes?
Can you talk to us?
Talk sometimes.
Okay. What's your first name?
I think.
Probably. What's your first name?
Okay, it looks like it was some sort of argument with maybe him and his girlfriend, and she looks very disoriented.
What's your last name?
Smith.
She could be having a panic attack.
In your guys' system, did we be on the season?
Could be having some kind of an episode.
Yeah, Susanna?
I'm in your system.
Okay, so you're saying nothing physical happened today?
No, it's just.
Who is that guy over there?
That's my husband, and he's.
Are you guys
it's
legally
just
married?
So that's her husband.
By his ancestral traditional laws, because he's from Japan, so I don't write his ancestral traditional laws. It's just part of the system. But according to
ACAB indeed.
yes.
Okay.
And I'm just I don't like arguing with him, and that's the only reason why I'm upset.
They're on some sort of a dock for those of you that may be listening to the audio. There's a bridge that crosses a river, a lake, some body of water.
Stuck for the way.
So your name's gonna come back as Susan or Susanna?
It's Susan. In your system. And
She could be high as well. Yes, never call the cops. They just make things worse.
yeah. It's frustrating when you have to talk to finish from thoughts. But it's still.
Once again, this is just days after the incident. They're only going to release this if they think it makes them look good. So they actually thought that this video made them look good. Unless in their municipality there is some kind of a law
I don't stand with I stay with one of my friends.
that requires them to release it in a certain amount of time.
What are you diagnosed with?
I have.
Yeah, she's saying she has a issue. That's why I didn't want to jump to conclusions and be like, oh, she's tweaking on something. She could be, but like, you know, I don't want to judge people.
Dealing with people in general, other than my husband.
There are several issues that one could have that could be mistaken for drug use. And looking down on people that suffer from that like does them no good. Okay, so now the cops are moving away from the wife, who seemed like she was very pleasant, reasonable. She calmed down after they were there for a little bit. She was clearly shook up. So now we're moving back away from the pier that they were on. And we're going to a. It looks like it could be a pedestrian bridge that goes across this body of water. It looks like they already had another cop speaking with him.
He was too far away. He saw him swinging in her jaw.
He's sitting on a bench.
She thinks you're from Japan.
I am from Japan.
Okay.
I could totally grind on that bridge.
Real quick, can I talk to you? Okay.
Ollie off of that motherfucker. Never believe the cops when they say that either. They could be homeless.
You're a big AC/DC fan.
Why'd they believe his response to if he was an AC/DC fan? Are you about to rock, sir? We salute you. They do have their belongings. Both of them had, like carts they were in possession of. So it's possible they are homeless. So there's just cops harassing homeless people. That's not a resident. Dude seems fucking fine right now. So, like, did the cops make the situation worse? Did the cops coming in and intervening in the situation make it fucking worse? And then they didn't even save the guy?
All your flags going or what? Did she look like she was actually traveling for stuff, or like she was kind of doing the transit shuffle?
It's possible that in the municipality they're in, they're required to show ID, but that's probably about it. They're acting like they are going to arrest him. Look at the pincer move they're doing on him. He's got his hand on his gun. They escalated the situation.
Water makes you lose your hair.
This water, this lake, yeah. I can believe that. You guys stay over the river.
Oh god, this is gonna be horrible, isn't it? Oh my god. Oh my god, and they oof. We're turned away from the guy right now. We can't really see what's going on. Is that more cops showing up on bikes? No, I think they're just going on about their merry way.
You do what?
Pick rocks, find things. Cross them out.
He's standing in between him and his shit. He's got his hand on his gun. Why cops got to do this shit?
This gets a little worked up when you get a little bit of anxiety. It's good. Just drink much coffee. Not much coffee. Oh yeah.
It's the acidity. Do I drink coffee now? I don't like the taste of it.
I can already tell you that the cops made this worse. Oh my god!
What are you doing, my friend?
We couldn't really see him do it, but like he just hopped on over there. He shimmied down an embankment or something? I thought he was gonna jump in, but like he did this weird maneuver.
You can't swim in the lake, man.
You're not allowed to swim in the lake.
Yeah, there's like a slanted embankment or something down there. There was some kind of...
How far do you think he's going to be able to swim?
Some kind of structure, support.
Well, you guys got to stay here in case he gets out. I'll get Neff to get you with the boat.
I think he got out in the middle of the lake and he's lost control and it's too deep.
Pipeball 12, the subject that Pipeball 11 was running, was jumped in the lake and was trying to swim away.
I mean, what were you there to arrest him for? What the fuck did he do? This just seems like a sick way for you guys to spend your evening. On a perfectly nice Saturday night.
Pretty sure there's like turbines at the base of the dam that can suck them over
There are turbines at the base. My God. Oh, they put up a content warning now. I'll give you another one. I don't, like, nobody subscribed or anything. I don't know what caused that. Wait, what? Oh, they cut off. They cut off. He's not allowed to swim in the lake. He should have been arrested for swimming in the lake. Yeah, apprehend the motherfucker. Yeah, they wanted to fuck with him until he tried to run away. I guess we should be thankful that he didn't get shot. The woman told police that they got into an argument but insisted everything was okay. So why the fuck were you still there? Why were you fucking with the dude? Why were you fucking with the dude? You caused his death. And nobody's going to be held accountable for it. An officer then tells Bickings to swim to Pylon. Bickings says he can't, and the officer replies, "Okay, I'm not jumping in after you." The transcript continues with Bickings asking officers to help him, and the woman telling the officers to save him, and an officer then tells the woman that another officer is getting a boat. According to the transcript, the woman said, "I'm just distraught because he's drowning right in front of you and you won't help." An officer then says Bickings hasn't come up for about 30 seconds. Police said Bickings was pulled out of the water by Tempe's fire and rescue team and pronounced deceased. Bickings was reportedly trying to escape arrest because of various warrants. And if if it had been anything other than just minor bullshit, they would have mentioned that. Fuck these cops. A-cab. Hopefully nobody in Florida is drowning, as they are getting hit hard. I guess by the first tropical storm of the season.
Floodwaters not going down easy in many spots. From Chopper 4, we spotted people wading in the high water and water bubbling up from a drain in another area. Now remember, if your neighborhood is flooded, officials warn you to stay out of the water because you never know what danger could be lurking underneath. Our team coverage continuing tonight with a look at the very personal toll the rising waters took on some families.
This is the summer of natural disaster and mass shootings.
Miami Beach now. So Ashley, how's it looking out there?
It's going to be a hot summer, guys. We're going to see record temperatures in places, massive droughts in some parts of the country, flooding in other parts.
It's right near Miami Beach Senior High. You know, you still see this flooding behind me, but we're seeing the water recede a lot as the day goes on. If you can picture, just hours ago this morning, this water stretched all
so get ready.
And up into people's front lawns. And that is the time of day. It was around 7 o'clock that this man tells me he was driving to work. His car stalled out, and you see here about 7 o'clock tonight.
Hey, don't try to drive through the water.
Get his car back on. People we talked with say it is a rough start to rainy season. Across South Florida, roads underwater.
It's a long-term concern.
Cars stalled.
It's scary. I would say a little anxious, just making sure I get through.
And homes flooded.
The whole entire house is flooded.
Hallandale Beach taking...
Behave yourself, RB.
3 inches, almost 4 inches of water.
Tiana Bryant noticed water seeping in.
You can't come in here and be living in sexual anarchy.
You live in sexual anarchy.
Are doing what they can to get it out.
Now I gotta figure it out because like this just the beginning season of the rain and we already.
Yes, this is the beginning. This is the beginning.
As we went further south, the theme continued.
Storm damage and mass shootings.
We've helped maybe half a dozen.
That's what's on the menu, bitches.
Nothing life-threatening, but just moving cars and making sure people are okay.
People who live here say their pumps
Welcome to America.
stood no chance against the heavy downpours.
And he said the pumps just they're on, but they're just not keeping up.
Meanwhile, in Miami Beach,
It's time to take the boat out.
Prairie Avenue near Miami Beach Senior High soaked in several inches of water.
Yeah, the whole road is covered, but on the other hand, it's not reaching.
Soaked like your mama's panties.
We're still good.
When I come over and have some of her lasagna.
Right now, you are looking at a storm drain clogged.
See, you can objectify some fictitious yo mama.
This is what many of the storm drains actually look like along Prairie Avenue.
This poor young lady's just doing her job.
They say they have people working around the clock trying to clean up these soggy roads. For now, that's the latest. Live from Miami Beach, Ashley Dyer, CBS 4 News.
Oh, I mean, it's just the new normal in Miami. As I said, it's the summer of mass shootings and storm damage. New design I've put up on the Freak Store. Another day in mass shooting USA. We'll donate money to every town for gun violence. Here's your animal video for this evening. It's a baby with a big fucking puppy. He's a big old puppy. 125-pound dog. Which sounds cute as fuck.
We let a gorilla in the house.
Damn, he is way bigger than that kid. It's the dodo. I can't have that music up. I'll get popped. It is very cute though. Was that him as a puppy? Oh, fuck kids. I don't like kids. No, don't literally fuck kids. Don't do that. That'd be very bad. Figuratively fuck kids. But like, that's sweet. That's sweet that the puppy was all about the baby. Look at him. Oh my God. Oh. I mean, that's fucking adorkable. Seriously, RB, why are you so randy tonight? RB stands for Randy Bitch up in here. That was funny. You gotta admit that was funny. I'm glad I got a laugh out of you. If you are watching on Twitch, it is time to head over to Echoplex Media. Is the Plex podcast portion of the show. We're gonna say hey to producer Dave. We're gonna finish up this video here. I'm not gonna cut you off from the puppy. I think I might have just like one little hit left in my bong. Cash it out. Feed. Now we got Santa showing up. How old's the kid now? About 9-10 months, something like that. Maybe a little younger. Maybe they're only able to stand because they're holding on to the windowsill. So maybe that puts them at like 4 months or 5 months or some shit like that. Oh, he's patting the puppy's back. Oh, I guess they're outside the window because of COVID or some shit. Oh, no. They're holding the kid. Oh, look at him shake his little butt. Oh, shit, he's so excited. Oh, is he going to give him a treat? Yeah, kid ain't going to remember Santa. I mean, it's for them. They wanted to dress up as Mr. and Mrs. Claus. It's not for the kid. He ain't going to remember that bullshit. You can let your little baby play in a box. Oh, it's for its Christmas. He'll enjoy that just as much. When I was a kid, I loved a good box. Didn't you all love a good box when you were a kid? You could do all kinds of shit in a box. I'm not playing. A box could be a race car. It could be a spaceship. It could be all kinds of fucking shit. Depends on how big your box is. You can do other shit with your box. Oh, you get a little bit older, you can put your dick in the box. Dick in the box. I'm sorry. If you're watching on Twitch, I'm sending you over to Echoplex Media. This is the Plex. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun. No, don't do that. I'm cutting you guys off for tonight. No, maybe somebody should cut me off. I'm Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol Live.